We need to talk about the Gabby Petito case. Crowds surround Gabby and Brian's house as the public demands answers, but conveniently, Brian is nowhere to be found. His parents haven't seen him in 6 days, and the police have no idea where he is. While technically he's now considered a missing person as well, Gabby's parents want you to know that he isn't missing, he is hiding. This man will have to pay for his crimes one way or another, so let's get into it. If you guys have not heard of Gabby Petito, she's a 22-year-old who has recently gone missing after going on a cross-country trip with her fiancé Brian Laundrie. Brian returned home without Gabby, and her parents haven't heard from her since late August. If you guys have not seen my first video about Gabby Petito, definitely go check it out. There's a lot of great information in there, and I mispronounce every national park. But let's go ahead and talk about the updates. So the latest news is that Brian has also gone missing as well, which is really convenient since everyone wants to know where Gabby is, and he was the last person to be with her. Police are currently searching the Carlton Reserve in Florida because they got a tip that maybe Brian would be there. His family says that they believed that he entered the area earlier this week. I'm not too familiar with Florida, so I've never heard of this reserve before, but this is supposedly where Brian is at. I'm kind of covering it up, but here's a short statement from the family where they say, all of Gabby's family wants the world to know that Brian is not missing. He is hiding. Gabby is missing. I still can't figure out how this man was able to escape police. Last night, actually, there were crowds of people surrounding Brian's house, chanting that they want to know where Gabby is, and they're ready for Brian to speak up.
Stop hiding inside your house, Brian! Come out! Gabby's family want answers! Gabby's family want answers!
There was tons of footage being released last night, and there was one live stream in particular where a woman comes up to another woman and she claims that they just saw Brian the street over right by his house. I'm going to play that clip for you guys right now.
Excuse me. Just so you know, we've been driving around here and we saw this guy right behind us. We don't know for sure if that's him, but it looks just like me. Yeah, it looks exactly like him. Because it was just on the street over.
On Ulster.
Probably 15 minutes ago. Because we went by him, and we ended up going by him like 3 times. And the last time when we went by, he was kind of going like this. And his face.
Can I see that picture?
Oh, we can do it, yeah.
So this is a photo of what some neighbors saw this gentleman walking down Ulster, leaving from the back of the property, which is the Brian's home.
I mean, it looks identical. So we compared it to the internet pictures and we saw the videos and stuff.
So we have no idea where Brian is. I mean, he could have just been walking down the street right by his house, according to that one lady. But Brian's parents claim that they haven't seen or heard from Brian in over 6 days, which isn't really adding up. And Gabby's family is calling BS. They put out another statement a few days ago, and they wrote, "We believe that you know the location where Brian left Gabby, and this is a letter that was sent to his parents. We beg you to tell us. As a parent, how could you let us go through this pain and not help us? As a parent, how could you put Gabby's younger brothers and sisters through this?" Supposedly, Gabby lived with this family for over a year, so they don't quite understand why Brian's parents aren't cooperating with police and trying to protect Brian when he's done something wrong here. And honestly, things aren't looking good for Brian. There was a TikToker who recently revealed that she actually picked up Brian. He was hitchhiking around that area and he got into their car. He offered them $200 to drive him 10 miles, but then he unexpectedly got out of the car and it left this girl with a bad feeling. So go ahead and check out her TikTok.
Hi, my name is Miranda Baker, and on August 29th, my boyfriend and I picked up Brian at Grand Teton National Park at 5:30 at night at Coulter Bay. He approached us asking us for a ride because he needed to go to Jackson, which we were going to Jackson that night. So I said, hop in. He hops in the back of my Jeep. We then, proceeded to make small talk. But before he came in the car, he offered to pay us like $200. To give him a ride, like 10 miles. So that was kind of weird. He then told us he's been camping for multiple days without his fiance. He did say he had a fiance, and that she was working on their social media page back at their van. He had told us that him and Gabby were not camping on a regulated campsite through the national park, that they were camping basically out in the middle of nowhere along Snake River. This is key information. He said that he had hiked for days along Snake River, but when looking at his backpack, it wasn't full, and he said all he had was a tarp to sleep on, which you think if you're going camping for days on end, you'd want food and a tent. Then once in conversation I brought up, yep, we're going to Jackson, he freaked out. He's like, nope, I need to get out right now. Pull over. So we pulled over at the Jackson Dam. He kind of hurried out of the car, and then he's like, okay, I'm just gonna go find someone else to, hitchhike. And we're like, he had scruff, but he didn't look dirty. For someone who was camping for multiple days, he didn't look dirty, he didn't smell dirty, so that part was kind of weird. So this is a view of the whole journey with Brian. So that's the top at the park at Coulter Bay, and then we drove him to this dam right here. Then at the dam, we dropped him off at this little turnout, and he said he was going to walk across the street to the parking lot, which was full of people, to continue hitchhiking and look for a ride, because he freaked out when I said Jackson Hole. He said we needed to pull over, even though Jackson and Jackson Hole are the same thing. It's the same town itself. This is the text I sent to my mom at 6:09, right when he got out of the car, saying I was okay because she was freaking out.
I have so many questions. Why was he alone in this area where he needed to be picked up? Why was Gabby left with the van? Also, I think back to that body cam footage, and she's not that comfortable driving the van. She told police that, so I don't know why she would have been left with the van while he was hiking through the forest. But that TikToker has just added an essential piece of evidence, which is going to help police put together this story. Unfortunately, the public is losing hope, and so is Gabby's family. Gabby's father, Joe Petito, has been going on the news, and he's been giving interviews about what he's feeling. He insists that Brian should be leading this movement. He should be trying to find his fiance. So obviously something is wrong here. And here's a clip of Joe where he talks about how he feels like something in his gut is telling him that this isn't right.
My gut tells me. My gut tells me that something bad happened. And I'm never going to be able to hold my baby girl again. But my head tells me that if I focus on that, I'm not going to be able to do the job that needs to be done, that our boyfriend or fiance should be doing. He should be leading this charge. And instead, he's not.
And it looks like Gabby's other loved ones are also speaking out and claim that this isn't really like Gabby. One of Gabby's friends told Insider that she wouldn't have run off, and she worries that something devilish happened to her. She was quoted saying she would never ever disappear like this without her parents knowing where she is. This is so out of character. And I don't think anything that's going on is due to her own doing. I think something more devilish is going on. Oh my gosh. And that wasn't the only one of Gabby's friends who's been speaking out. Another one of her friends has spoken out, and actually, Gabby was supposed to be meeting up with this friend in August. So as you guys know, Gabby and Brian were on a cross-country trip, and they were actually going to visit one of Gabby's friends for that friend's birthday. The friend was quoted saying, "The last time I talked to Gabby was in the beginning of August when we were planning for me to meet up with her in Yellowstone after my birthday. She said that the date hadn't been set, but they planned to talk and arrange the meetup closer to the time." This friend also claims that Gabby wouldn't wander off and not contact her family. I know that for a fact. She wouldn't blow me off either. Even though Brian's parents have been pretty quiet, his sister, for some reason, has been speaking out to the public. So it seems like Brian's sister is trying to make him seem like he's a good guy and that hopefully this is all just one big misunderstanding. His sister did talk about that body cam footage of their fight, and she actually claims that whenever they fight, they would take a little break and come back and be fine, and that's just kind of how they would both fight each other, which I just want to let you guys know right now that fighting is never normal. Like, you can bicker, you can have your arguments, but no couple should be consistently fighting, and it seems like she was kind of hinting at that. She claims that obviously me and my family, so Brian's family, want Gabby to be found safe. She's like a sister, and my children love her. Here's a clip of Brian's sister speaking in that televised interview.
Obviously, me and my family want Gabby to be found safe. She's like a sister, and my children love her. And all I want is for her to come home safe and sound, and this to be just a big misunderstanding.
You would think if this was some big misunderstanding, then maybe Brian would be helping out. Obviously, there's something really wrong here, and actually Gabby's father responded to Brian's sister.
If you love Gabby as a sister, and you knew your brother was home on the 10th, and no Gabby to be found, who lives in that house, and told no one, okay, it explains a lot to why we're in the situation that we're in now.
Obviously, we're all on Gabby's family side because nobody can really understand why Brian would put Gabby in this type of situation and why he isn't helping out. There has been so much attention on this case recently, and I do want to bring up some of the conspiracies going around because there's no, like, they catch my eye. There's no way I can ignore them, even though they haven't been, like, I don't know, verified by news sources. I want to share them with you guys because they are going viral on the internet. You guys are emailing me, so let's go ahead and talk a little bit about the conspiracies that claim that people have seen Gabby out and about. Here's a photo I'm pulling from Reddit, and pretty much this is a picture of some family or friends, and as you guys can see in the background, there's some type of person laying down on a rock. It's a bizarre photo because I don't know if the family or these people were trying to capture that person in the photo or what, or maybe that was just the best view, but it's really eerie. And it also looks like there's a photo of Gabby wearing a very similar outfit, looks just like that person who would have been laying on the rock, so some people believe that that was probably Gabby. Other people believe that this could be Gabby as well. Someone wrote on Facebook, "OMG, it just breaks my heart. Young girl walking around the truck stop. She doesn't look to be older than 23. Kept walking into the diner, seems mentally unstable, asked where her family is if she missed them." I don't know what the post continues to write, but supposedly, allegedly, this could be Gabby. Here's a photo of these two people next to each other, and the thing that really sticks out to me is definitely the eyebrows, the jaw, and the nose. A lot of the facial features do look pretty similar between these two photos. I would say maybe like the person who's in that diner looks like they're a little bit like they weigh a little bit less because if she has been missing for a couple weeks, like obviously she's not going to be doing as well. But holy crap, like could this be Gabby? Like could these people be like just seeing Gabby as they're visiting these national parks? Even though I would love to believe that one of those photos was Gabby, in my heart I truly feel like it isn't, because I feel like this situation is so much darker than than what we even expect right now. I mean, a lot of people don't believe that Gabby is alive, and I'm really, really praying that some miracle happens, because I've been on my phone obsessively refreshing, trying to see what's next, because I feel so emotionally invested in this situation, and I just don't, I don't understand how Brian could leave his fiance across the country, drive all the way home, and just act like everything's totally fine. Like, of course the dude is missing right now because he knows that he's got some big charges coming, especially if they do find Gabby and find her body, because he's gonna be that person that has all of the answers. And it makes me think about that TikToker who picked him up hitchhiking. Like, she knew something was wrong, and that's how she remembered this. She was texting her mom. There are so many receipts in that story, and I believe that more information is going to come out. honestly, like in my own personal opinion, I feel like we're gonna know what's happened to Gabby by like Wednesday next week, because there's just so much public attention on this that the puzzle pieces are gonna start coming together, and we're gonna see what really happened in late August when Brian left his fiancée Gabby for good. But I want to hear what you guys think in the comments below. There's so much going on here. Here's my email below if you guys want to send me any updates or tips. I'm going to be consistently updating you guys on this case as much as I can. So comment below what you think. I'm like actually distraught over this whole thing. I think a lot of people are, because they just want to see Gabby home. I think the public has really grasped onto this story because nobody can understand how this could happen. Nobody ever wants their sister or their loved one or their friend to go through something like this, and it sounds like a horror movie that needs to end. But again, comment below what you guys think, and I will see you guys in a new video soon. Bye guys.